Welcome back to the Den of Tools. Howdy ho, guys and gals, it's Red, your friendly neighborhood tool bear, back again here in the Den of Tools, and today we're here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly from Kobalt's 24-volt line of power tools. Now, Kobalt's, they're a brand, a house brand of Lowe's. The brand is owned by Lowe's, built by somebody else, of course, because Lowe's doesn't have any factories. And they launched this line of tools about a handful of years ago or so, and it was widely received with a by the general populace. And Kobalt really stepped up. They said, yeah, we admit it. They were not launched correctly. We didn't put enough effort into it, and we apologize. And they relaunched it, and they came out with this core line of tools: 7 power tools, 3 batteries, 2 chargers. And honestly, it was a decent little set of DIY, prosumer-esque kind of power tools. 24 volt. Now, everyone was kind of wondering why 24 volt, and I never got a solid answer from them on it. My hypothesis is because Milwaukee owns the patent on 18/20 volt tools. Basically, any tool that uses a lithium-ion battery pack that has 4 cells in it has to pay Milwaukee a couple bucks. Kobalt did an end around, said, well, we'd rather give that to the consumer, so they spent that couple bucks making it a 24 volt tool. Are they significantly more powerful? Do you notice the difference? Maybe. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that these were all brushless tools, 24 volt, 23 point something if you're looking at nominal, if you're a nominal kind of person, and just not half bad. So anyway, Kobalt actually reached out to the Bear back about 2.5 years ago and asked me if I would test out a set of their tools. And I was actually pretty surprised because back then it was still a pretty small channel, and they were the first big company to reach out and say, hey, we want to send you some stuff. And I was pretty excited about it. And I tested up against some the rigid stuff that I had. I went out and picked up some Harbor Freight stuff, the old Chicago Electric stuff, and also a rigid 5th gen tool, which I don't think they liked the fact that I compared it against rigid. And I promptly never heard from them again. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that I actually still am rather a fan of their tools because they made some really decent, middle of the line kind of tools, with a decent warranty behind it. Let's go into some more of the good on this brand. So here's the current lineup of tools. They've got a nice smattering of everything from a 1/2-inch impact. I think they've got a 3/8 impact wrench, not driver. They've got a triple hammer. That's a drill driver, and a hammer drill all in one. They've got an impact driver, sander, Circ Saw, multi-tool, a cordless miter saw, a grinder, a mini sawzall, mini recip, a drill driver by itself, a full-size recip, a jigsaw, and one of those little mini cutter saws. So a decent core line of tools. Then they came out with, in the past couple of years, they came out with a couple accessories. They've got a fan, they've got a little vacuum, they've got a couple work lights and a radio, and then they got some outdoor power equipment. They got a blower, a hedge clipper, and trimmers. In fact, I've done a video on some of this stuff already. In fact, here are the ones that they sent me, and here are the ones that I then turned around and purchased myself. And I do have a decent set of these, and I use them from time to time. I use the outdoor stuff probably more than anything else. Now, there was concern about this line maybe going away or getting severely reduced, and instead they've expanded. In fact, this year they were coming out with, and they just hit on the website, 5 new tools. First of those new tools is a 3/8 variable brushless cordless ratchet wrench. That looks pretty exciting. They've got a cordless die grinder. They've got a rotary cutting tool. This is great for like plunge cutting into drywall, stuff like that. They've got this, they're calling it a brushless screw gun. It's essentially, it's a drywall gun. And then they have this collated fastener accessory that goes on it. And they also have their own new SDS rotary hammer. So some great, really, amazing add-on tools for if you're already in the Kobalt line, or looking for a prosumer grade tool, that really, ups the game in Kobalt's favor. Now, one of the things that we've been talking about, and you've probably heard me say again and again, is brushless. And that is true. All of these tools, as far as I know, all of them are brushless motors, which means you get great, extended battery life. And, they're very efficient when it comes to battery use. And they're inexpensive for what you get. I mean, now, granted, these are the list prices on new tools, but $120 for a 24-volt ratchet, that's not a bad deal. And the batteries themselves are wicked cheap, to steal a phrase. All of which adds up for an affordable line to get some really excellent tools. The batteries come in 2, 4, and 6 volt. You can buy these tools at any Lowe's location. There's over 2,000 of them across the United States. And I would say that these are a solid, probably, I'm looking at certainly a new rating system. I was trying to do one where I rate it for pros and then I rate it for DIYers. But basically, we're just going to score it from a 1 to 10. And a 1 being a terrible tool that nobody wants, and a 10 being the perfect tool for the pros. I would rate a prosumer tool somewhere in the middle. A solid middle-of-the-road DIYer would be a 5. All right? And I would rate the Kobalt as a solid 6. Some of them might go as high as a 7. Some of them might go as low as a 5, maybe a 4, depending on the way you rate them. But there's nothing terrible about these tools. There's also nothing exceptional about them. They're decent tools that can be used by about anybody. And in some cases, even some pros have been known to use these. There was one guy not too long ago who published an article about using the impact wrench in his pro shop for 2 years without a problem. That speaks highly of it. Now, the other good news is the warranty on these. These tools come with a 5-year warranty, 3-year battery warranty. And on top of that, they add in a 1-year, 100% risk-free money-back guarantee. That is, you can go buy the tool, use it for a year, you don't like it, get a refund. That's saying something. Now, Harbor Freight's been known to do that with some of their tools, but not with an entire line of cordless tools. That really says, a level of commitment there. Further good news is that here's the small print here. If you think your product meets the above guarantee criteria, please return it to place of purchase. Now, you will need to have a valid proof of purchase, i.e. you'll have to have your receipt. So you will need to save your receipts. No need to register them online or any of that stuff, but you will need to keep them. But 5 years, that's a decent warranty. And being able to take it into any local store, that's nice and convenient. Now, the turnaround time, I've heard, can be a bit long, 2 to 6 weeks on some tools. But the fact of the matter is that, at least it's going to be covered. Now, they do have a note down there that compressors and outdoor power equipment is limited to 90 days if you use it for commercial use or for rental use. Now, that's actually not too bad. I've seen many tools that are considered consumer/prosumer, where if you use it for professional use at all, that voids the warranty, or at least reduces it significantly on all their tools. So the fact of the matter that they're limiting that on the outdoor power equipment, and to be honest, I would not say any of their outdoor power equipment should be used professionally. It's all definitely for small yard kind of stuff. Now they do have some 40 volt and I think 80 volt stuff as well, so maybe that's what they're referring to there. All right, that's enough of the good. Let's talk about the bad. And one of the things I gotta say is the tools are a tad bit bulky. Now, I'm not going to say that they are as bad as Rigid with the superfluous overmolding and all that to give them that, extreme kind of look. But they are a bit oversized, and I think a lot of it has to do with, you can buy bigger motors for less than smaller motors. Trying to get a small motor is going to cost you more money. So they kind of save money by going with probably older generation motors. They're brushless, but they're probably, now this is me just hypothesizing, I'll be honest, but that's one of the few things I can think of. Also, the plastic on them is a tad bit plasticky. It doesn't quite give you that sense of high impact resistance, glass fiber impregnated, polycarbon. It feels more like just a solid, injection molded plastic. That said, I've not broken one. I've not had any problems with them. They've definitely taken a spill or two in my shop onto concrete. Definitely been, bounced around in the back of the truck more than a dozen times. The back, hauled up to Montana and back at least twice at this point. So, I mean, they've taken a licking and kept on ticking, as it were. But it's just one of the things that I want to point out there, and I want to be upfront about, is that they do seem a bit oversized, especially the batteries feel a bit oversized. And if you're one of these people who really likes small, compact tools, this is not going to be the line for you. Then also in the bad, some of the tools can be a bit hit or miss. As I was stating before, the Circ Saw here is definitely one that I would consider to be, I feel kind of bad saying this, it's not exactly a miss so much as it's not up to being the same kind of par as the rest of the tools in the lineup. I was very happy with the triple hammer drill and the impact that I have, the batteries and everything else. I picked up the Circ Saw hoping for something akin to what I saw from the brushless Gen 5 Rigid, and it's not. It just isn't in the same class. And I'm sorry to say that because it's a similar kind of price. It's a brushless motor, and I was hoping for something of that quality, and it's just not there. It's not a bad Circ Saw. It definitely can get the job done. It's just not as smooth. It doesn't cut as strong. And, and honestly, I felt the battery wasn't quite as efficient. Now, a lot of people, according to the ratings here, really liked it. And I'm not going to say that I was, going to throw it away, but it's not one of the things I would say definitely buy the system for the Circ Saw. If the Circ Saw is the tool that you use the most, you might want to consider something else. That said, it will get the job done. And the other negative was what we hinted at before, which was that Lowe's doesn't make these tools. They are outsourced now to Shervan Group, which is a tool manufacturer. They build it to spec for Lowe's. Now I got to be honest, in this list that I made, I feel like I've kind of had to stretch to find the bad. If you admit to yourself that these are not solid pro grade tools, they're not going to compete directly with Milwaukee, they're not going to compete directly with Makita or something like that, but the prosumer, if you can accept that, there's not a whole lot of negative to say. Yeah, they're made by somebody else. Yeah, that could go away. They might get switched up, and then the quality may change. But that's one of the things that you look at with a lot of tool systems. I mean, Rigid is made by TTI. Emerson could pull the plug on that and switch them out at any time. Stanley Black & Decker, who knows what they're going to do, right? They're constantly canceling battery lines and whatnot. So, I mean, change happens in the tool world. It's one thing we have to accept. But I'm just trying to, be entirely honest that this is one of the things you may want to consider. Now, as far as the ugly, well, it almost got real ugly. But then there was a light at the end of that tunnel. And that was Craftsman coming in. So Stanley Black & Decker bought Craftsman for $900 million. Yeah, I know. Pocket change, right? And they proceeded to, in the software industry, they'd call it shovelware. They basically rebranded their Porter cable with a little mixture of DeWalt and some Black & Decker mixed in, and just shoveled a huge line of Craftsman tools, both power tools and hand tools, into Lowe's. Basically told them, you're taking it or else. Now, they've done this elsewhere. Ace has got them, Menards is getting, they're rolling out everywhere. I even heard that Napa's going to have to start carrying them. But at Lowe's, they were hardest hit. In fact, Lowe's, you started going into Lowe's and it stopped looking like Lowe's and started looking like the Craftsman store. It was red everywhere. And there was a large concern that Kobalt, both power tools and hand tools, were going to lose almost every ounce of floor space they had and get, pushed into the dustbin, as it were. Well, many of the hand tools did get relegated to online, but through some creative, mapping of the store, they found a way to save not only all the power tools, but to expand the line. Now, when this all was happening, I reached out to Kobalt and Lowe's several times. More than several. I almost, probably once or twice a month, trying to get them to respond to me, let me know what's going on. I've talked to them before. They've commented on videos here, and, all I get is crickets, and it's not a warm and fuzzy feeling when a company this size isn't responding to somebody who's bringing up a legitimate criticism. But at this point, there's been some stability. We know how far Stanley has pushed into Lowe's, and we've seen the new floor plan, and Kobalt is definitely there. The hand tools, they're greatly reduced, but the power tools have gotten a firm footing, and they've now said that they're going to be coming out with 20 tools, the 5, including the 5 that we just saw, over the next year. So I'm looking forward to seeing these. I really want to get my paws on them and test them. The only question there is, though, is how strong is Lowe's committed to Kobalt? I hope it's strong. I think it's a great brand. I think it's something that could meet a lot of people's expectations. In fact, in the past, when people have asked me, hey, Bear, what's your recommendation for a prosumer DIY line of power tools? And I've often said, at this point, I would have to look at Bauer and or Ryobi. If you're going to Harbor Freight all the time, get a Bauer. If you're going to Home Depot all the time, get a Ryobi. People say, well, what about Porter Cable? And I'm like, nah, Porter Cables, they're on the outs. What about Rigid? They're decent tools, but they don't stand behind their lifetime service agreement, and they're getting a bit pricey. So who's the alternative? And I wanted to say Kobalt, but I couldn't, in all honesty, say Kobalt. But I can tell you in the past week, since I've heard about the new line of 20 plus tools coming out, there's obviously some commitment there. I'd like to hear some communication from Kobalt so that we could get more information to pass along to you guys, so we could get those warm, fuzzy feelings. Hint, hint. But in the meantime, though, my recommendation has recently switched to Bauer/Kobalt. If you're at Lowe's and that's where you feel comfortable in your DIY or prosumer grade, Kobalt looks to be, a solid lineup, that one you could possibly invest in. They've got some decent sized batteries all the way up to 6 amp hour. Yeah, they're not the crazy high ones like you see in the pro grades, but for a prosumer, you don't really need that. They have the vast majority of tools you're possibly going to need in cordless. They also have a decent selection of corded tools, if you want to stick with that same color blue. And you can't, spit in the eye of a 5-year warranty with a 1-year, 100% money guaranteed, behind it. It's money back guarantee. Anyway, that's what the Bear has to say about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Kobalt. I want to take a moment and say, hey, I want to take a moment and ask you to stop by the Sunday Night Tool Talk Live. Every Sunday night at 6 p.m. we do a live stream. I take the weekend off, but you'll find Jeff and the missus there, maybe some of the Cubs and the Labradog, talking tools, tech, business, all family, all sorts of stuff. Also, I gotta say thank you to all the DOT members who have joined and support the channel. That's YouTube's new version of in-house Patreon, if you will. Details about that, I'll try and put them up over there if I remember. And also, thank you for everyone who's been buying the merch and sending me pictures. I love the pictures of the sweatshirts. They look great. I know it's getting nice and chilly, so maybe a mug and a sweatshirt for your hot chocolate and your chilly winter days coming up. Don't worry, though. The Bear doesn't hibernate because tool bears never sleep. Anyway, thanks again for being part of the Den of Tools, coming by and saying hi. Why don't you let me know down below what you think of the new Kobalt lineup, and if this is something that you're excited about. And if not, what tool line do you think you want the Bear to check out now with the good, better, best kind of series here? Anyway, that's all the Bear has for you today. Go ahead and chomp the old like button. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. You all have a great day. Take care. God bless. And as always, say it with me, shine on.